Good evening. It is 6:01, January 22nd, 2025. This is a regular meeting of the Conservation Commission and Inland Wetland Agency of Norwalk, Connecticut. Could we have a roll call, please?
Steve Clackey,
Here.
Paul Bennett,
Here.
Catherine Knight,
Here.
Heather Breslin,
Here.
and Cheryl Brown.
Here.
Yeah,
Thank
five.
you.
That's a quorum.
Excellent. Is there anyone logged in from the public who would like to comment?
Mhm.
Beautiful. Discussion. Oh, wait, we don't have any receipt and discussion, so moving on to discussion and or decision. First one up, S25-655, 12 Riverwalk Lane.
Okay, so this application is still incomplete. We're waiting for the applicant to pay the application fee. They need to do that in advance of the August 26th meeting, which is your deadline to make a decision. So that matter is tabled for tonight.
Okay, moving on then to S25-656, 23 Glenwood Avenue.
This application was received at your June 10th meeting. Upon receipt, they received some comments from you and are working on revising their plans. Without an extension from the applicant, you have to open the public hearing at the, oh, wait a minute. No, you did get a extension from the applicant. Take that back. So the applicant did grant an extension of time. So that pushes your deadline to commence a public hearing to the 18th, October 18th meeting. So they're also requesting to table any discussion tonight.
Okay, moving on then to S25-656, 19 Park Street.
Park Street is also asking to table any discussion tonight. They are still working on putting together their application. Currently, their application is incomplete.
I love it. Can we keep this going for four? S25-658, 38 Lois Street and 1 Bishop Street.
Well, the applicant is here. And so you received this application at your last meeting. You had some comments, and I know the applicant and team were working on those. Attorney Suchi is here, so she can give you an update.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the Conservation Commission. For the record, my name is Liz Suchi. I'm a partner at Carmody Torrance Sandeck in Tennessee, and we represent the applicants and owners of the properties 38 Lois LLC and 1 Bishop LLC. We were before you initially in June, but you didn't have a quorum, so we appeared before you about 2 weeks ago to give you a brief overview presentation of the project, which basically is the redevelopment of a approximate half-acre size parcel if the 2 lots are combined, and the creation of 2 new structures with 12 total dwelling units, associated parking, drainage, and the like. One of the things you asked us to do at the last meeting was to send to the Department of Public Works a copy of the site plan and the stormwater management drainage plan and seek their input and comments. I have not received anything from them. I followed up with Christine Kardashian at DPW last week, hoping that we would have some comments for you tonight, but I suspect that Alexis hasn't received any and neither have I. We are available tonight. It would be helpful, I think, if Andy Sumalides, project engineer, and also Brian Carey, both of Landtech, and he is their Director of Environmental Services, to chat with you about the project, what the project is all about, impacts on wetlands and watercourses, and then for you to hopefully make the determination based upon Mr. Carey's presentation that no public hearing is necessary. I suspect you have not received a petition from 25 residents requesting a hearing. So that's one of the standards that you would need to evaluate to determine if a hearing is necessary, in addition to whether or not the project has may have a significant impact on the wetlands and watercourses, or if it is in the public interest to hold such a hearing. So at this point, if you would indulge us, I'd like Mr. Carey, or first Mr. Brian, is Andy Sumalides on as well, or are you carrying the flag today? You're on mute.
Yeah, Andy should be on as well. I'm just trying to see.
And we also have present tonight Eric Rains of Eric Rains Landscape Architecture, who I believe presented to you 2 weeks ago, Colin Grothier and Lance Pariseau, both of Minefield Architecture, if you'd like to have some more of discussion or presentation on the architecture or design of the buildings. But as we wait for Mr. Sumalides, perhaps Mr. Carey, you could walk the commission through
Yep.
what the wetlands and watercourses are, off-site, on-site impacts, and the impact of this project as you've evaluated it.
Yeah, if I can just share the screen real quick. So basically, as part of the application, we did submit a full environmental memo into the record discussing feasible and prudent alternatives, even though this application did not trigger that requirement under the statute. As you can see, and as was discussed during the last hearing, there are actually no wetlands on site. Wetlands do exist directly to the east of the property. There is a perennial water course that runs through the property that actually goes through the center of the site into the Norwalk stormwater system, and then is channelized under Lower Street and goes down towards Route 1. We did not go on the adjacent property because we did not have permission to identify wetlands off the site. But as you can see, most of the property does fall within the upland review area of that piped water course that again does enter the site from the east going towards the west. As was specifically discussed at the last meeting, the site is basically fully developed in its current condition with a commercial building and a single family residential house with a garage and a driveway. As part of the project, they will be replacing it with two separate residential structures that will contain residential townhouses. All of the stormwater management on the property is associated with this Coltech system, which is underground, plus a couple of areas on the property that have I guess impervious surfaces. Pervious surface. I guess last time there was some question about plastics. I believe Andy, who will be on here shortly, will talk about how they've addressed that. I think one of the most important things is discuss. Again, we have submitted everything, as Attorney Suchi has said, to the town engineering department. The project does meet the requirements of the City of Engineer stormwater water quality management standards, and also the 2024 DEP stormwater quality manual requirements for detention and also water quality volume. As required, we did submit an operation and maintenance plan that will be filed on the land records as part of the project. So that will require the property owner to continuously maintain the property in perpetuity moving forward if this were to be approved. I know there was extensive discussion after reviewing the record at the last meeting, which I wasn't in attendance for. There is an extensive landscaping plan that has been developed as part of the project. And that was discussed. Also, the ecological functions were also discussed a little bit. Right now, the property as it's laid out, there are no wetlands. The grading, the property grading associated with the project basically goes from east to west towards Lower Street and into the catch basin. So there really is no sheet flow that will be leaving the property and going into the adjacent water course. So there will be no impacts to the adjacent water course. Trees will be there are a couple trees on the property, as you can see, but generally the property is basically 100% impervious, other than some of these grass landscaped areas. But again, there will be the landscape plan does a good job of basically mitigating the transition from, these grassed areas into additional grass areas that will have, at least some beneficial plantings. I think the main thing, actually, there was a couple other things. Snow storage areas have been designated, on the site plans. Andy can talk about that, how they worked with that. And basically, there wasn't an alternative analysis submitted that discussed numerous alternatives and how we reached this as the highest and best use of the property. I think it's important to note, as Attorney Suchi said previously, there really is no reason to have a public hearing, as there has been no public interest in the project to date, and there is no significant impact to adjacent wetland resources. So we were hoping that this could be moved along, so that we can pursue our additional approvals, and not have to go for a public hearing. I think the ecological functions of the project, as proposed, is an enhancement over what really is a commercial area on the fringe of residential. To the east is the former Pepperidge Farm site that has extensive impervious. We've tried to do everything in our planning efforts to minimize the amount of impervious area on the property, and really provide a project that is in accordance with not only the inland wetland regulations, but the new zoning regulations, where they want to have this street side feel, where there's a really kind of continuous stoop type of environment, if for anything else, to allow this neighborhood feel. Again, there will be no work being done within the wetlands. All the wetlands remain off-site, and the plantings will mitigate any type of additional impacts, because the increase in impervious is really going from just grass areas to either building or really not even additional pavement, but just from grass areas to building. That being said, I can take any questions regarding the project. We have tried to use green infrastructure as much as we can on the site, and incorporate all of these low LID type of methods to manage the water quality volume for the project.
Thanks, Brian. Does anybody have questions for Brian before? Well, I'm not sure if Ms. Raines wants to comment or not, or Andy wants to comment or not, but any commissioners have questions at this point? Okay, Ms. Knight.
I just want to understand, are there any trees that are coming down, or are the, in terms of do you have any photographs of the site besides the overhead aerial? Alexis, have you visited the site?
I have. I don't have any photographs from the street, unfortunately.
So
but
there are some trees coming down. I haven't done an arborist review of individual trees on the property. I was out there once quite a while ago. I wouldn't say any of them were necessarily specimen trees.
I could share, Brian. If you let me share real quick, I'll show.
Can you see that on the screen? Hold on one second. Sorry.
There we go.
So they're really landscape trees. This is Bradford pear, which I don't know if you know, but it's considered basically a nuisance type tree. It is an ornamental tree, but it is listed as an invasive on the state of Connecticut's invasive plant species. They generally don't plant them anymore. And if you come to this side again, you know, this will be where the curb cut is being performed. But most of the trees that form the vegetated buffer between the development and the adjacent wetland are actually on the adjacent wetland or on the adjacent property right here. The house as it is now basically sits 10 feet off the property line. The new proposal actually pulls the development further up towards Lower Street, you know, basically providing more of a buffer, even though there will be asphalt with a curb line right there.
I'm only seeing a sliver of your
Yeah, we
screen
only
right
have a-
now, Brian.
Oh, here, let me.
Ms. Knight, go ahead and chime in.
Yeah, I think what I was interested in is the trees that are at the rear of the property, not so much like the ornamentals that were put in the front, but just to understand the larger trees and what the impact would be and how, you know, are they right up on the boundary? You know, soil compaction winds up killing the trees as building trucks go in and out and things like that. So I'm just trying to understand that impact. And because it doesn't seem like there's any landscaping or buffer that's been put in between, you know, what is a vegetated property behind with the water course, but you know, that flows into there.
So again, the tree line will
Looks like it's
remain
developed
along
right
the
up to the
property.
edge of the boundary. Is that correct? That it's
The-
being developed or not developed, but you know, it's the paving's going right up on the property line?
The paving will be up along the property line, that is correct.
And there's no vegetated buffer between the property line and the vegetated or the water course behind?
The remaining buffer that's there right now, because the wetland is off-site and there is generally a bit of a buffer between on the neighboring property between this development and the water course will remain intact since that's off-site. And that's not something we'd be able to disturb anyways.
Mr. Rains, do you have anything to add with respect to where that vegetative buffer sits in relation to the property line? And any changes or what you see as benefit of your landscape plan as opposed to what's proposed, right? What exists today?
Well, I think we should look at the retaining wall condition, because there's an existing retaining wall that's being replaced with a new retaining wall. So if we have a plan that could show that, it gives an elevational difference between our property and the adjacent property.
Mr. Sumalides, could you screen share that plan that shows retaining wall? Thank you.
So on that drawing, you'll see, and again, this isn't our drawing, but you'll see an existing retaining wall, and then you'll see a new retaining wall that's farther back from the property line,
Sorry, where's the existing retaining wall?
right there.
Just beyond the fence.
The thin double line.
Thin double line is the existing retaining wall, and is that labeled anywhere? Just out of curiosity.
I don't think there was.
It would be on the survey probably.
So I'd
It's at
say in
the edge of the
general,
park. There you go.
we're a bit short on existing conditions in the drawings, I think.
These are existing conditions off the survey. So the retaining wall is at the edge of the parking spaces that are perpendicular to that eastern property boundary.
Okay, but I mean, sorry, so I guess it's just assumed that that gets removed.
On the proposed plan, that will be removed with the new retaining wall in its place.
And the 3 trees shown to the left is just, again, they're sort of like grayed out on the proposed plan, right?
Those are the arborvitaes that were in the street view that we saw a second ago.
Yeah, but it's just, what I meant by short on existing conditions is usually it's made very clear to us what's there, what's getting removed, and what's staying. So that would be helpful if you could add that level of, just a few notes, a few liters here and there, telling us what's happening exactly.
Does the site plan, forgive me, the site plan does not show trees to be removed above 8-inch caliber?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, understood.
So, okay, you guys, design team, you show me, where does this say
There it
what
is.
you're getting rid of? Other than me implying that a lighter,
I don't think any of those trees probably meet the 8-inch requirement, but we can update the plan. It's not a
Well,
problem.
I think it's safe to say that if it's a 14, if you could zoom in there, I think it says. So the
Arborvitae.
are arborvitaes that are 14-inch.
okay, so that's above the 8-inch, right?
Yes, so those would show on a tree removals plan.
Okay, so that's something we're gonna need. Also, this retaining wall, I'm sorry for being super dense here, but where is it shown? What's there, what's going in next, and how is the adjacent property being, protected? Since we haven't gone on to it or even looked at old maps, as far as I can tell. Didn't we discuss that doesn't staff have information about the adjacent property and the conditions of the wetlands over there?
Yeah, so it looks like that has
Yes.
been updated. That's the red line is the.
That's the
extent
red line.
wetlands.
Can
Yeah.
you guys hear me?
Okay,
Yes.
approximate
Okay.
location of offsite wetlands taken from information. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so Alexis provided the offsite wetlands. That's what's delineated now in red.
Okay,
And Andy, this is just the existing condition survey that we're looking at right now,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
okay. All right,
So we've labeled all 8-inch caliber larger trees on the property.
okay,
Those are these arborvitaes here where our new entrance comes in. Those were the 2 trees in the front that Brian spoke about earlier. So we delineated all those 8-inch or larger caliber trees on our property. What Brian was alluding to is this buffer here remains because it's off our property, and that's where the dense vegetation is off our property that remains as is.
right, and so I think the point was being made that that's lawn currently, right?
This currently here is all lawn.
All right, so what, so in the drip edge of those trees, does it stop right at the property line? Or is there some overhang?
I don't think we have photos showing that. I could try and see.
We don't have surveyed locations of the trees, but if they're, depending on their size, they could most certainly overhang the property.
And isn't it usually that the roots of a tree pretty much match the profile of the drip edge above?
Let me see if I have photos.
Well, it depends on their growing environment. In a wetland situation, it's different than in an open lawn.
Well, we have an open lawn in this case, right? Because we've
But
already
it's-
delineated the wetland,
But
so
I think there's a grade change.
is there a grade change? Is there a wall there, basically? How could there be a grade change if there wasn't a retaining wall?
Would have to go back to the drawing. The retaining wall turns and comes into the property.
I'm looking for photos. I think we have some photos. Let me see if I have
Okay.
photos of that.
Alexis, have you done a site visit or could we organize a site visit? Because I think that would be helpful just for us to understand what the existing conditions are. And just to see it, because we can't.
Sure, yes. I have visited the site. I don't have photographs due to my incompetence. But I can certainly meet you or any of the commissioners that are interested in going out there. I don't think it warrants a special meeting for a site visit, but if you it's relatively accessible from the street. There is a single family home and then the other building which looked vacant. So if you would like, staff to meet you at the site to get your bearings and identify the approximate location of the property lines, etc., can certainly do that.
Well,
I'd be happy to
just-
meet with you also if it helps to walk through it.
just to push a point, lines on paper are one thing, reality is another. And we've, very conveniently ignored a lot of what's on the other side of this imaginary line that doesn't really matter, except for how, as far as drawings are concerned. So, staff is very generous with their time, but it really is your responsibility to look at the big picture and let us know exactly what's going on around the site, even if it's over imaginary line. So you got to do your best with that.
But
There's
there's
route-
really not much else we can do across the property line to give you information since
Well,
we
we've-
don't have the right nor the ability to access that.
Have you asked for it?
I don't think the property owner has asked for it, but I think it's asking a lot to then now go on to an adjoining property and then survey an adjoining property.
It's not necessarily surveying adjoining property. It's just right now it kind of seems like everybody's got the blinders on from that line back. But that's not what happens in reality. So
But we're not
if it's
doing
easy enough
anything
to
from-
stand on, if it's easy enough to stand behind that single, that house and you know, get a location
Well,
or a
well,
line is
I
property
have
line.
been out there. I mean, it's a wall of vegetation.
Okay,
And again, the only mapped resource that was provided thankfully by Alexis is this water course in this small area of wetlands.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
more so with the trees.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wall of invasive vegetation that lays
Are there any
directly
trees that are
off-site.
over 8 inches in diameter?
I mean, it could be, but we can't go on to the adjacent property to survey. We don't have the legal.
But can you
right
see
to
them
do
from
that.
this property?
Yes, you can see.
Can you
that.
estimate how far back they are?
It's right on the property line.
Can you estimate the size of the canopy?
There's some canopy
Yeah.
that hangs over the grass area on this property.
I have a shot. I'll share.
Hang on, Cheryl. I know you got a hand up. I'm not quite done.
So this again, here's that single family house. This is standing on basically that corner of Fulton. This is looking into the back here.
All right. So there look to be some pretty big canopy trees back there, I would say. Right?
So yeah, you can see a tree here, a tree here, a tree here. These are those arborvitaes will be taken out.
And speaking of imaginary lines, this is all within the 100-foot upland review area, correct?
Correct.
Even if it isn't on, you know, you see the point I'm making?
Yeah, I think our point is we're not doing any significant grade changes in that area.
But you are
Correct.
changing the nature of the surface, right? It will be paved, whereas now it's grass.
Right now it's grass that runs off towards the wetlands. We are going to pave it and curb it and capture all that runoff.
Water doesn't run off grassland all that much at a pitch like that, do you think? Doesn't it get a chance to soak in more than it would, you know, if it was a hard surface? I guess it's just really got under my skin
guess
on
what's
this
the
one, where we're
yeah,
trying to
we-
make the case that we're improving it so much more over how terrible it is right now. And I just don't buy that entirely. And maybe I'm just barking up the wrong tree, but maybe I'm just in a bad mood.
Well, look, let's look at the existing conditions. So here you have a very large building, right?
Yeah.
We have pavement right up to the property line.
Yeah.
Right? Commercial lot. No stormwater infrastructure, zero stormwater infrastructure currently.
Is there a curb on that pavement?
There is.
What's the pitch from that curb, the top of that curb to the middle of that parking area? Is that about level?
To here?
Yeah.
Yeah, roughly level.
So you'd have to get,
Good.
curb is 6 inches. You have to get 6 inches of rain standing there before we get any rain over the curb, correct?
Oh, no, none of this runoff is going that way.
Okay, good.
This
So
runoff is going
we're-
into this catch basin. It
Yeah.
goes into this pipe water course.
Okay, so as far as we're concerned, what's being proposed is not actually a drastic improvement over what is there currently, because we've just established no water is running off the back into the wetland or the upland review area directly adjacent.
So what currently happens is when raindrop hits here, it'll sheet flow into this catch basin
Perfect. Yes,
and then go into the piped water course.
got it. Thank
Which
you.
the piped water course now picks up all the city's
Got it.
drainage within the road.
So it is an improvement in that we're not preventing water from sheeting into, you know, that's northeast into the wetland because it's just running off the pavement. We're catching it on the pavement and diverting it to a subterranean infiltration feature.
And under proposed conditions, correct.
Great. Okay, so now moving over to the left,
Correct.
I think if you could, I don't want to imagine, I don't want to go out there. I want you to show us what's happening with the existing trees, how big they are, and how far they hang over this property.
So you basically want to see what the tree line is here.
It can be, you can put
In
a big
relation
fat
to
note
our
on there that says, we were not allowed, even though we didn't ask, we were not allowed to go on the adjacent property. So we can't tell you exactly where these trees are, but here's our approximations.
Right. You
Okay.
want to make sure those trees are protected. That's
Correct.
what I'm hearing.
Yes.
So if
that
you
all
pull up
trees
the
outside of
towns,
protection.
if you pull up, Andy, if we pull up the town's aerial, you can see where the extension of the tree line is on the property.
Cool. Thanks, Brian.
But shouldn't we want to know what those trees are?
Yep.
I have no way of assessing those trees since they are off-site. I can't go
Give us
on
more
with
than you
it.
got. You know what I'm getting after. Don't play ignorant. You know exactly what I'm asking for.
Yeah, and what you're asking
And-
me to do is not legal under the law without express permission.
If
From
you
the
haven't
neighbors.
asked to go across
But
there to
let's
locate
just-
that, then you haven't tried hard enough. Ms. Brown,
Let's just, may I just take a step back?
actually, hold on. Nope, we're going. Ms. Brown, please.
I just think it would be helpful to understand how big the retaining wall is. I don't see any top of wall or bottom of wall on the plan, so if that could be added so we can understand that as well.
Thanks, Cheryl. Are there actually, and forgive me if I missed them, but are there actually any drawings showing footings for retaining walls or anything like that? I may not have gotten to that sheet in the drawing set yet.
For our proposed wall,
Yeah,
so. Hold up.
I'm sorry, we waiting on an answer or is it?
Yeah, I'm
no?
looking for. So you want to see a wall detail?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're right next to I mean, we don't have a flagged wetland, but it's been identified on the plans, so I think that'd be a good idea. How are we gonna build a wall? You know, I see your I see your
mean, the-
sediment and erosion control plan. But
Yeah, I mean, the wall's for a wall significantly away from the property line. We don't see any issue of building that wall.
okay, show us
Not
on
a-
paper then.
Not a very large wall.
Doesn't
Uh,
matter. Get it on paper. Temporary stockpile, is there anywhere else that can go?
Yep, we can move that.
Okay. Plastic binder, who's got their spiel on that? Or whatever the plastic additive is in the ground?
For the grass pavers,
Sure.
What we found is that the product specified is food quality polycarbonate approved by the FDA and the EPA. That and it's UV stabilized. It's also in a non-friction environment. But regardless of that, probably the shortest path would be to convert those areas to additional porous pavers.
Which will not involve adding shards of plastic to the dirt.
Shards of UV stabilized.
Plastic is plastic.
But yes.
If it's USDA, it's meant to be used for a container, not to be shredded up, and it's completely irrelevant. But yeah, okay, good. You're going in the right direction. Ms. Knight?
I just have a question on just going back to the environmental impact report. I just want to understand on the map, where exactly you did the soil survey. Because it said in the limits of the brook, but you don't have the brook. So I just wanted to know specifically where you guys tested the soils.
So when it talks about that, that's actually, you're talking about section 3.
Section 2. You said the limits of the brook were field surveyed. What does that mean? Can you show me?
Yeah, so the limits of the
Sure.
brook on the site, which goes through the middle of the site, were surveyed, not anything off-site, obviously. So we traced out on the site plan where the existing water course basically goes through the property. If you look at the original survey on the plan. So it's basically the line of the easement, and then if you look directly west, there is the swamp and brook elevation that's taken off of there, but we did not go on the adjacent property.
But did you do soil sampling on the single
No.
residence property?
No. So they
No.
did it for drainage reasons. I believe they did it for the design of the infiltration system. They have to take, they go out there and do test pits.
So where was the soil sampling for the environmental impact assessment done?
So we did not we did not do a wetland delineation of the project. We just used available library resources such as the NRCS map and available resources so we can map the adjacent property. Nothing was done in the field per se on that.
So
So
is
there is information that we can use, albeit DEP or the Natural Resources Conservation Service, that we can look at adjacent properties and then the general surrounding area and get an idea of the mix of plants from the property line, but nothing was done per se to map that wetland on the adjacent property. We just don't have the legal right to do that.
Yeah, I
if
mean,
you look-
we just had applications recently where there were wetlands under lawn, so, it would be useful to know if there was in fact any diligence in looking at where the wetlands are.
Andy, could you possibly shed some light on this in connection with the samplings that you did in connection with the stormwater plan that's being proposed?
Sure. So what we did was soil testing, obviously for drainage purposes. I'm trying to get up Alexis's map. Alexis, do you have it handy, the offsite wetlands by any chance? That map you shared with us? I mean, we put it on our map, so I'll just share it again. So here are the limits of the wetlands. These were what was field delineated by the adjacent property for, prior application. This information was then given to us, and then we added this limits of wetlands onto our property. All convergence here at the head wall of the, 24-inch RCP, which here's, you can see the limits of the water course that come into it.
Catherine?
Is that straight red line going up their property line?
So the property line is this thick line.
So they own all of that behind.
Correct. This is all off-site. Off our property. And that was field delineated by another wetland soil scientist for, again, the application for that property. Alexis provided us that information. We added that to the survey.
So is there any,
So that continues all the way up. So you could see this. I just did partial of it. But you can see that continues. That's the wetland limits all the way up.
Catherine, I'm going to chime in. Do you think there's any chance when they delineated that wetland, that property owner did, they didn't bother to cross the property line? You think there's a chance of that happening? And so if, for example, if we hadn't been bound by these imaginary property lines that people are afraid to ask permission to go over,
No way.
there's a very good chance that that red line could extend onto this property. You see the point I'm making?
Yeah, so you want to see if this lawn area was once wetlands at some point, and you want a report stating that it never was.
Not never or ever is good enough. So
Right, if it is
you
or it
do the
isn't
regular
wetlands.
testing,
Right.
and if that section of the lawn is wetland soils, which happens all the time,
Correct.
then we'd like to have that to consider.
We could add a letter to that
Add a
effect.
what?
We could add a letter into the file to that effect.
After the investigation's been done?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, I'll just tell you, as a matter of course, the NRCS map, the National Resource Conservation Service map, which is what would generally dictate, after looking at that and town mapping, whether or not we would go out into the field and determine whether or not we're wetlands. there are no wetland soils based on the resources available from desktop review to suggest that there are any wetland soils on that property.
But
We
Brian,
do-
would we
but-
then not ever bother locating wetlands if we relied on maps?
We'll,
I mean,
we'll take care.
Right, that's, I'll just chime in. So the wetland delineation is done by the actual character of the land, so.
Right, I agree
Now,
with you.
NRCS is just an estimate.
I
um,
agree with you. If you need a wetland delineation of that property, that is not a problem.
Bingo. Thank you. Okay, so we're denoting a heck of a lot more about existing conditions. We've gotten rid of the shards of plastic in the dirt, which is not on the drawings that are online, but will be removed, I assume, per Ms. Rain's comment. We're going to locate or do an investigation of wetland soils on our side of the imaginary property line. We still haven't heard from DPW, and I think Alexis would again recommend that maybe she can shake something loose on her end to get a response from them before we get close to making
Yeah,
a
they just
decision on
have
this.
a queue of things that they're reviewing. So they review pretty quickly. They just haven't, tonight is not their deadline.
Okay. The temporary stockpile can get moved away from within 3 feet of a known water course and wetland. Did I miss anything?
Just to call out the proposed scale of the wall, the elevation of the wall.
I'm sorry, and the details for retaining wall. Man, it blows me away that the new zoning allows you to build that close to the back rear property line. That's crazy. Not bad. I saw that. I'm like, no way can that be right. But Alexis is not shaking her head, so I
Yeah.
assume
Um,
that's kosher. All
but
right.
that-
I kind
what you're
of sorry.
looking at is the existing. Well,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
but anyway,
Well, the east corner of the proposed building B is right up against the property line in the proposed
is.
plan.
Yep.
Mhm.
So, sorry, Miss Sechi, I was on a roll there. I apologize for not letting you speak. Is there anything you'd like to add at this point?
No, not at this point. Since you're asking us for additional information, we'll see how quickly we can get that to you. And then hopefully the information provided will answer the questions you have. I would hope that these would be the questions that remain, and we won't come back in whatever it is, 2 weeks, and need to do more investigation because it does take time. And
Yep.
it's not something that we want you to be waiting for, but you have to recognize that it's not something that can happen overnight.
Yep, understood. Actually, there's one more thing. So Alexis, are you okay with us being told that this is not requiring any sort of public hearing? Isn't there some quantity of dirt that also comes into play? But maybe we're
I
not moving that much
will-
dirt. I don't know.
I will read your regulations.
I love it when you
so-
read our regulations to us.
So section 9 talks about public hearings, and as was previously quoted by the applicant's representative, the agency shall not hold a public hearing on applications unless 1, the agency determines that the proposed activity may have a significant impact on wetlands or watercourses. 2, a petition is filed, or 3, that the agency finds that a public hearing would be in the public interest. So I would focus on the first one, that the agency determines that the proposed activity may have a significant impact on wetlands and watercourses, and then you go back up to your definitions and you define what a regulated activity is. And within that definition, you further define what a minor regulated activity, an intermediate regulated activity, and a significant regulated activity are. And significant regulated activity definition pretty much follows the state statute. What you have in your intermediate regulated activity subsection of that definition says that no activity resulting from the deposition or grading of more than 150 cubic yards of material within a wetland, watercourse, or upland review area shall be considered an intermediate regulated activity. So that kind of means that activities that involve more than 150 cubic yards of material being moved within the upland review area or a wetland or watercourse, you've kind of predetermined that those activities are likely to have higher chance of having a significant impact. And you call those a significant regulated activity. So I'd say that in the past, it's been interpreted that if an activity is not considered intermediate because of the amount of grading, it's considered a significant regulated activity, and that a significant regulated activity triggers a public hearing.
So we're basically talking about all of building A is within an upland review area. A third of building B is in the upland review area. All of the, site work, dirt work, flat work outside is within the upland review area. So it looks like we have the architect online here. Do we know if the amount of disturbed material on which basically is 3/4 of the site, does that exceed 150 cubic yards?
We've already specified that in the application that it does. We gave the figures.
Oh,
And
where's that?
it's in the application. It says, I believe it's 16,000. Am I right, Andy? So we're not contesting that it's more than 150 cubic yards. But the fact remains is, does the activity that we're proposing, including the deposition of soil and regrading, result in a significant impact to that piped wetland that comes offsite and then underneath our property? That's what the gravamen of the discussion is. Not whether or not
How many
we're not.
cubic feet?
No, I think it was 300, not
Excuse me. 300.
Okay.
What I was talking about is how much.
It's
disturbance.
16,000 square feet altered.
Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And where is
But it's over
I'm
the
sorry.
150.
Correct.
So it is over the 150.
Yes.
So
which means that it's a significant regulated activity application.
Right.
application.
But you have to make the next determination that does the activity proposed may result in a significant adverse impact to the wetlands.
Yeah. I would agree that, I'll speak for myself, I don't think it does. Do any commissioners think otherwise? Nobody's stepping forward.
Guarantee
Okay.
everybody tonight.
Yeah, I'm on my own tonight, Andy. Probably for worse, not for better. Okay, so if no one objects to us making the determination that this is not significant, does not warrant public hearing, then we'll roll with that.
Okay.
Cool.
We'll get you the list.
Get you the information you need.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for beating you guys up. And we look forward to seeing more information next time.
We'll
Awesome.
see you back 2 weeks or so. Thereabout.
It is in 2 weeks. Yes, on the.
It's a tick more, I thought.
And
because-
can we, how would we access,
Few
or
weeks.
can we go to visit the site just to get a sense of what?
August 12th is the
To
next
see it.
meeting.
Great.
Just email me and
Okay.
we will work it out.
All right.
The
I can
12th?
go tomorrow and Friday. I am relatively free. So
Sounds good.
this would be ideal.
Well, we will get additional documentation for you well in advance of August 12th, which is the next regular scheduled meeting.
It is.
Okay,
Perfect. That gives us
Thank-
enough time.
Thanks.
thank you for your
Yep.
time.
Have a good night.
Okay, moving on to acceptance of minutes. Who would like to volunteer to comment on the July 8th meeting minutes?
They look
Make a
fine to me.
motion.
No comment.
Cheryl's first.
Oh, it's
I'll
fine,
second.
Cheryl. It's all yours. I just felt like I should contribute somehow, other than this being spectator sport.
Other than not turning on your video so you don't be seen smirking at my antics.
That's correct. Also eating, but
Okay, so Cheryl, that was a motion to approve,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
and Catherine was the second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Heather?
Hi.
Okay, thanks. Unanimous. And unanimous, not anonymous. Oh, with the video, you never know. Conservation initiatives, anyone? Okay. Commission Chair, I don't have anything to report other than this is Cheryl's last meeting, regretfully.
It is.
What?
I've decided to step down. I want to say that I've really valued the experience and over the past 6 years, and thank you to everyone. It's been really rewarding, and working with all of you on this. But I wish
Aw.
you all the best.
Is it Steve's fault?
What are you talking about?
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
But we will, thank you, Cheryl.
Yes.
You've got leave a big void to fill. So, yeah, like I emailed you earlier today, any way you can help us even start to fill that void would be appreciated. Not that you have to, it's not a guilt trip.
Okay, okay.
But,
I will put out
I
my
mean, it is a little bit.
feelers. So,
But we need a new vice chair now, though. How's that happen, Alexis?
Let me think about it and we'll come up with something at your next meeting.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Cheryl.
Yes.
Thank you,
That's
Cheryl.
That's the end of the commission chair's report. Senior environmental officer.
Oh, I just have one
Oh.
thing to add. It's it's a little of a non sequitur, but I had no idea I was going to be so obsessed with tracking the app. We got solar put on our roof in July 9th, and we've already produced like over 1 megawatt of power and have been exporting on a daily basis back to the grid. I mean,
Wow.
I was amazed to see how powerful the solar can be in generating electricity for the house.
Did you see it? Mine overheated a little bit during the heat wave. Like it was
Really?
putting out a fraction of what it was supposed to because I think it got too hot.
Huh.
But
Ours
yours is
has
good.
yeah, it's been pumping away. Yeah, yeah,
Newer generation panels. Good job. Good for you.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Good
great.
for us.
Awesome. Highly recommend it.
Cool. Alexis?
Nothing.
Okay. All right. Well, that's I'll move to adjourn. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.